one of the consultant midwives at the John Radcliffe in Oxford. So during the pandemic, I have done quite a few of these sessions where I have come onto these live sessions so that you can hopefully answer some questions of me. So I'm just waiting to see if anybody comes to join us this morning. And I just wanted to give you an update, much like I posted, the Maternity Voices team posted last night on the Facebook page. So basically what we wanted to do is we want to reassure families who use our service that despite the challenges of the pandemic, you know, we are still there. We have a strong maternity team and an absolute passion for safe care. Unfortunately, some of you may be aware, and it may have affected some of you, that we've had to make some temporary changes to the provision of what we can offer in terms of labour in the community. So for example, we have suspended births in Wantage and the Cotswold maternity unit since August, and we look at that regularly to see that when we can reopen those services. And we've had some daily fluctuations in some of our other freestanding midwifery-led units, and occasionally haven't been able to support the home birth service. We really wanted to tell you that we want to be able to support women's choice and place of birth, and we're going to do everything that we can to enable this to happen. But it's just at this point there are other things that we have to take into consideration. So I'm sure some of you may be aware that the pandemic is still affecting us. It's affecting our staffing levels in the unit, and what we're trying to do is centralise services to make sure that we can still provide one-to-one care in labour, which is absolutely what we're trying to achieve. And sometimes that has led to us making quite difficult decisions in terms of perhaps not being able to support home births or births in Wallingford and occasionally the Horton as well. So we are really sorry about that, and to try and explain why, because women often ask why we've had to do that. What is the difference being in community to being in the hospital in terms of our staffing? And simply it is a matter of midwives. So if you are at a home birth or in any of our freestanding midwifery-led units, you will have 2 midwives there, so one for the majority of your labour and then a second one joining for the birth. And obviously that takes time. The midwives have to travel. Some of them, do travel up to 45 minutes to an hour to get to you, and the length of time that they're there. The difference from perhaps being in the Spires, our midwifery-led unit in the JR, is that we can provide one-to-one care in labour, just like we did at the home birth or in one of our freestanding units. But the difference is that at the point that you need the second midwife for the birth, a midwife can come and join the midwife quite quickly from another area, sometimes from another room, for the birth, and then can leave again quite quickly. So in terms of timing, it enables us to have more midwives available to look after more women in labour. So that's the basis for why we sometimes centralise services into the Spires for women, rather than being able to support them in that community setting. So my post yesterday was just to say, at this time we think that there are some things that you should take into consideration when planning your baby. We made countless films during the pandemic that are saved on the YouTube link on this Facebook page, and we made some films a few years ago that are on our website, and we want to reassure you that the evidence for women birthing people who are considered low risk is absolutely strong for you birthing in the community units or at home. That is absolutely the right place for you to be, and equally the Spires, again the midwifery-led unit for low risk women, is absolutely the right place to be, and so we still want to encourage that where we can. When you plan for birth in the community, our midwives do talk to you about what we're looking for in labour. We're constantly doing a risk assessment to make sure that it is the safest place for you to birth your baby. There are a percentage of women having their first baby who, they say around 40 to 45% of women will have to transfer to hospital for a variety of reasons. Now, most of those are because labour hasn't progressed much as we expected it to. It's been slower, they've needed some additional help, either in the first stage or second stage of labour, or women have actually found that they've needed more pain relief. And so there are other factors, and so the majority of women don't have to transfer in an ambulance, like a blue light ambulance, for an urgent birth, but there is still that chance, obviously, that may happen. Transfer rates for people having their second or subsequent baby is around 10% for women birthing people, and again, it's much less common, and the actual need to transfer in a true emergency fashion again is much less. But we do say to people it is something that we need to take into consideration when planning birth, because at the point that we contact the ambulance, and for the ambulance to come for us to get you into the ambulance and then drive to the JR and get you into delivery suite, that can take on average about an hour. It's a little bit quicker in a true emergency, but it is still something that we need to factor into when people make their decisions about planning the birth of the baby. And we're not trying to frighten women by sharing that information. What we're just trying to say is that, again, I want to reiterate that the true emergency nature of birth for low-risk women birthing in the community it is very, very small. But if it does happen, then it is something that obviously we have to take into consideration what that transfer means. And so with anything in terms of labour and birth, the other things that we wanted to say is have a backup plan. When we talk to people at sort of 34, 36 weeks of pregnancy, and we're saying, what are you thinking? What are your preferences around labour and birth? And hopefully many of you have downloaded the Mum and Baby app, and gone to the birth planning section in there, and it is about trying to think what your preferences would be. And with anything, it is about your preferences, because as we know in life, things that we plan don't always go according to plan. And we're going to do everything we can to facilitate your choices, but there also has to be a little bit of leeway, because sometimes things crop up that you haven't been expecting. And what we were going to do is share the information with you so that you can make the right choice for you, depending on what it is that crops up. So have a backup plan. I quite often, women that I've seen in my clinic, I have said to them, have a plan A and a plan B, if that's what you like, or just, like I said, more about preferences. But we absolutely appreciate if somebody has been planning a home birth, if they've been planning to birth in Wallingford or the Horton, and at that time that they go into labour, we haven't got the staff to be able to support that. We really appreciate that. That's very disappointing for you to change those plans, but we are only doing it to keep you safe. And to keep the other women safe. So if it does happen, then we would advocate you coming into the spires. And like I said, we've done lots of I ran about the spires on Facebook Lives that have been shared on the YouTube site again, so that you can have a look. If you're unsure what the spires looks like, have a look there. The feedback that we get on the spires is incredibly positive. And when we are centralising services, we are keeping the spires open. So I think, again, sometimes people say, I don't think that'll be open, or will there be enough beds for us, rooms for us to use, pools for us to use? Yes, generally, in the majority of cases, the spires has enough room for people. to use it, and we tend to be running about cleaning pools and changing things and moving people who've given birth into the side room so that we can get the pool and birthing room ready for the next person. But please, please don't be frightened about that. So still, if you're planning and thinking that your initial choice is home or one of our freestanding midwifery-led units, please don't feel that if that isn't an option, then the Spires isn't there, because the Spires absolutely is there, and it's on level 7. And there is a lift that we can take straight down to delivery suite if there were any problems. So, all we're doing is just asking you to think about making the best plans for you, to obviously be aware that sometimes, our staffing isn't ideal. And it's not that we don't have enough midwives. We don't want to cause any of you to be distressed or think that these options aren't there for you. It's just that in this time we are experiencing some shortages and having, like I said, to centralise services. On that note, equally, we've been speaking to ambulance control because they're experiencing similar things. People are using the accident and emergency departments much more, where perhaps they could be using their GP. And so there are blockages in A&E departments, and we have ambulances unable, queuing with people in the ambulances to drop people off because we have the blockage in the A&E departments. So there's lots of stuff out there from our trust, from other trusts, saying please only use accident emergency. If it is really important, try and see your local GP first. And in terms of ambulances, we absolutely are asking you, please only use a call for an ambulance in an emergency, because we need ambulances to be there for the true emergencies, for people who have heart attacks, and for maternity we are a priority if we need an ambulance, but it is very important that we don't use them to travel into the hospital. Please make alternative arrangements. Ask, if you don't have transport, ask family or friends if they can take you, contact local taxi firms, etc. But please do not use an ambulance other than in an emergency, because we need ambulances to be there for us when they can be, and not sort of blocked from other things. So that's a bit of a plea when I spoke to our ambulance team yesterday, just saying it would be great if people could just take that into consideration and think about other choices that they're making in their life. And on that note as well, it's thinking about vaccinations. We've done so much work on vaccinations. Our lovely consultant Brenda Kelly has made some films about it. The Royal College of Midwives are doing a lot. You may have seen them on television promoting vaccines. Please do have your vaccines when you are pregnant. It is very important, and it is important equally to have your COVID vaccine. It is important for you to have your flu vaccine as well. So please do take our advice and have these vaccinations, because we are trying to keep you healthy, and it does make a big difference. We really do want to keep people as well as possible during pregnancy. So that's me. I've kind of talked at you a lot. I'm just going to have a little look now to see if anybody has posed any questions for us today. So bear with me. Too many computer screens. So Charlotte has said, I hope you're well and keeping safe. She wants to say a massive thank you to the NHS Oxfordshire for their support when your baby was born in May 2020. Charlotte, that's great. We hope you and your daughter are well, and that you're keeping safe as well. I know that obviously being a Saturday afternoon, there may not be many people about, they may not have many questions, and I hope that you can have a read of some of the messages and things we have been posting on Facebook, and that you will encourage people to watch this film afterwards. We will try to keep you aware as much as possible with what is happening, when it is happening, and like I said, we will try to make sure that we can still run all birth choices as we go along. Fran, thank you for your support. You said, do you have the latest transfer stats for the Trust midwifery-led units? I know that we are, Fran, we are within the national average in terms of transfers, but I don't have them obviously with me just now. It is something that absolutely we can share. I'm quite happy to post some more stuff when I'm back on Monday that people may find helpful, and if they would find that helpful, then absolutely I'll get that up there. Thiana, you're saying, is the Cotswold Birth Centre now open for births? So Thiana, at present it isn't. We are encouraging people who want to birth at the Cotswold Birth Centre to think about using home birth, birthing at home instead, or going to the Horton midwifery-led unit. Again, what we've done is we've tried to put the Cotswold Birth Centre together with the Horton in the north of the county and Wantage with Wallingford in the south of the county. Again, that's about us trying to centralise our teams, you know, we have had vacancies in our teams, and we have some amazing new midwives and support workers starting, and they're all being orientated to make sure that they're happy in their new areas, and so things will start to get better. We know it will in terms of staffing. We just have to keep people at work rather than being there's so many COVID touch points, I think, for our staff as well. So I'm really sorry. We know it's really devastating. It's devastating for the women and birthing people that want to use the Cotswold maternity unit and indeed Wantage, but it is it's absolutely devastating for the staff as well. They're very passionate teams. They're very passionate about their areas, and they are absolutely, you know, your voice is being heard, because they are challenging us all the time in a really good way to say, come on, can we open up again yet? So all I can say is watch this space, and hopefully we'll have more of an update on that soon. So thank you for that. And then I have Trudy, you're saying, thank you for the update. Are there opportunities for home birthing couples to bring themselves into the hospital rather than use an ambulance? Absolutely. You know, I think our natural response is that when we're with people in labour, we can we then call an ambulance to transfer in. But if it is because you want some additional pain relief, or more so in the first stage rather than the second stage of labour, things are a bit slower, then we would, you know, it is thinking outside the box and saying, actually, it may be better for you to travel in together, because that journey it can be better in a car rather than being bundled into an ambulance. We do have some guidance on that in one of our guidelines about women that could transfer in a car, and women birthing people that would need to go in an ambulance. So I think we just have to relook at everything and think about how we're using all services at present to make the most of them, to keep choice open, and to keep us all as safe as possible. Oh gosh, my computer can't turn off. Trudy's also asked, what are some items couples can bring into the spars with them to help make it feel like a homely environment? Trudy, I would say women and birthing people can take things into whichever birth environment they're going into. We can't have naked flame, so unfortunately you can't have candles, but lots of people buy these battery operated candles to come in. And so you can bring in battery operated candles, music. We do have aromatherapy diffusers. If you have your own oils and you'd rather have your own oils, we can use them, or we have some oils in the service. You can bring in cushions, pillows. I remember very well having somebody coming into the delivery suite room and hanging things, drapes and things along the walls. If that helps you, it's great. If you have positive birth affirmations and you want to bring them in and stick them on the walls, that's equally great. So please do bring in what you want, but you just need something to transport it up. But there are chairs if you need some help getting things up into the birth environment. And then Shannon, you said our partner's still not allowed to stay after birth on the spires. So Shannon, basically overnight, partners aren't able to stay yet. They have they tend to go home. Obviously, if it's during the night that you birth your babies, partners will stay for a few hours and then go home to hopefully have a rest and come back the following day. So again, we're very sorry. We appreciate it's really difficult for partners to be separated, and we want to enable them to stay together. We're just trying to reduce contact. And again, for those of you out there who have asked for a second birth partner, unfortunately isn't something that we've been able to change at present. Again, that is just about having lots of people in the hospital and lots of exposure. And we're trying to keep you all well, and equally we're trying to keep our staff well and protect them, because it is those contacts with people, and we've had staff that have had long COVID and it's really affected the way that they work. So we do have to try and keep everybody as safe as possible, and we appreciate other organisations are doing different things, but we feel like we're doing the best for you by the changes and things that we've put in place in Oxford. Fran, you're saying, will the MVP be updating birthing people and their families when the next decision's made regarding Cotswold Birth Centre and Wantage? Absolutely. Fran, we've done such a lot of work with MVP during the pandemic, and I try to make sure that they're aware of all of the changes that have happened. Unfortunately, I haven't been around as much in the last few weeks. I'm sorry it's been so long since I've done this question and answer session. And we just need to make sure that that continues. So in that note, I would like to thank the Maternity Voices Partnership for working so well with us, and particularly myself. I have been the point of contact since the MVP started, and I am sorry to say that I will be leaving Oxford in the next couple of weeks. I have got a new opportunity to lead a national project. And again, that's all about safety in childbirth, and so I'm thrilled to be able to lead that project, that national project. It's going to be very exciting, but I'm equally sad to be leaving Oxford. I've been a consultant midwife in Oxford for about 8 years, and over that time have just worked with the most amazing professionals and people. So I am thrilled with the support that we've had, and I cannot thank you all enough. We have amazing staff in Oxford. They are just fantastic. I shall miss the staff so much. And like I said, Maternity Voices have been just so supportive in trying to help us to move forwards with what we're doing. So we're sorry communication has been a little bit lapse over the last couple of months. We will do everything we can to improve on that. And again, I'm sorry to those people out there who have had their inductions delayed or who it's taken a long time to get appointments, we are doing everything that we can, and we will continue to support what we can moving forwards. Hannah, I can read your post. I'm very sorry that you've had a stillborn baby, and you're asking who to contact regarding next steps with postmortem results. So Hannah, I'm hoping that you still have a contact in the hospital. Our lead bereavement midwife is Paula Gallagher, and if you can contact Paula Gallagher, that would be great. If you're not sure how to get a hold of Paula Gallagher, can you contact your midwife, Hannah? Hopefully you still have the contact details, and hopefully they can help you with that next step. But Paula Gallagher is the person that is my go-to for things like that, because I'm sorry I can't answer that question, Hannah, but I wish you well, and I'm very sorry for your loss. And thank you for the nice comments from everybody else. Oh, and you had contact with Laura, Hannah, that's great. So hopefully you'll get the answers there. Laura has actually left now and gone to Reading, or she goes on Tuesday, I think, so she might still be about on Monday, but that's why I said to Hannah, Paula Gallagher would be your go-to. So I'm going to leave you on this lovely Saturday. I hope the sun is shining where you are. I had to close the curtains because to try and imagine shutting the sunshine away. That's dreadful. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I'm really sorry I've not been able to gush and give you lots of positivity, only that we are here. We want to look after you in labour. We want to keep you as safe as possible, and we hope that you'll use some of the information I chatted about today to make the right choices for you. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.